what's up everybody out there in learning land? Tyler from Tenthumbspro.com, and we're getting bluesy again today with some T-Bone Walker style rhythm. Okay, so you saw in the intro probably there was a lot going on. Why don't we go ahead and break that down into pieces? What we're going to look at is principally the rhythm, the shuffle, kind of that little riff, that's the bulk of it, and those really nice sliding chords. But I'm also going to show you how to take the scale D minor pentatonic or the D blues scale and find little sections in the 12-bar blues to plug it in and fill it with some tasty fills and make it nice like a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. If you want printable tabs for this lesson and all our lessons, all you have to do is become a patron up there in the corner. Starts at $1 a month. Go ahead, clickety click it. Tenthumbs t-shirts. Skype lessons one-on-one if you're interested. But if you came just because you love T-Bone Walker as much as I do, well, that's fine. Don't throw your love on me so strong. Why don't we go ahead and grab that ukulele, brain and attention span, and go ahead and get bluesy. Follow me on in. Let's break this lesson down right now. Come on in. Now this is a blues in the key of D. And the rhythm's going to sound like this. All right, so why don't we go down and look at exactly what's happening so that way you have a deeper understanding of it, you could apply it to your own playing, and some of the characteristics that made T-Bone so tasty. So what we're going to start off is pointer finger on the 5th fret, and we're going to hammer to the 6th fret. Now, if I were to make a D bar shape, this is a D major chord, and remove all my fingers but my middle finger, you could see I am on the 6th fret. If I were to make a D minor, you can see I am on the 5th fret. That makes in the key of D, this the minor 3rd and this the major 3rd. And that hammer from the minor 3rd to the major 3rd is very, very common, especially by all the tastiest of the tasty bluesmen. In fact, I have a video that talks a little bit more about this if you want to check that out. That does some cool rhythms in the key of A with the 3rd, okay? So what's going to happen there is we're going to start on the offbeat as well. We're going to go 1 and 2. Another really cool characteristic of T-Bone was he didn't always come in on the 1. So if you're doing your own solos, you don't always have to come in on that first beat, or rhythm for that matter. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So then we get the 7th fret. But if we were to examine the D minor pentatonic scale or the D blues scale, it looks like this. And you can see that we don't play the 7th fret in the scale, but we actually play the 8th. Well, here is our root. This is a D note. So as you're jamming, that's where you would resolve or finish your licks and ideas. Now in the blues scale, the note above that from D normally wouldn't be only 2 frets up. It'd be 3, this being the minor 3rd. This is the 2nd, okay? This is also a very tasty note that you can add to your D minor pentatonic with your blues vocabulary to give it a little bit of that uptown funk sophistication kind of vibe. And what we're going to do there too as well is when we get there, we're going to bend somewhere almost up to that tonality to give it another layer of unique flavor. Okay, so that whole riff would be 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So now you can replace all your bars of D in a D blues, for example, bars 1, 2, 3, and 4 with that rhythm. But it still feels a little open, so we can add another little tasty move, and what we're going to do here is we're going to take our middle finger and we're going to bar the 5th fret. Now this is just from the C, E, and the A strings. I'm not playing the G string. We're going to slide that up to 7 and then back down to 5. This is very, very characteristic of Mr. T-Bone, and another you can see people like Stevie Ray Vaughan actually take from this influence too. Okay, and that's going to go 1 and 2, 3. And on the 3rd beat, we're going to strum through and just slide on down the fretboard. 1 and 2, 3, 4. So you put that together with the riff and we get this. All right, and so that's the bulk of this lesson. Now, if you have a tenor ukulele like I'm working with today, you can take this exact rhythm, and when it goes to our 4 chord, which would be a G chord, you can replicate that on the 10th fret. But let's say you're playing a soprano or a concert and you're not really comfortable up there. When you get to that part, you could also just strum a G chord. Or find your G7. This is a G7 actually. You can find your G7s in different places as well. Okay, so that G7 exists all above or all up and down your fretboard. All right, now continuing with these ideas, before we get too off track on talking about the fretboard in general, you can go to that G7 and just do a down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. And that's what we're gonna do for a play along. If you're more advanced, feel free to take that rhythm up the fretboard. When we get to the turnaround, you're gonna need an A7. We'll do down, down, up, down, up, G7, D7, and A7. So we're just not going to do anything too fancy with our turnaround because right now the idea is that you get this rhythm idea. Now, after that, I want to show you some fill ideas. Why don't we go ahead and play through the 12 bar though as is right now. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about before I let you go, I still got your ear right now as the sun is setting and the light is going down here in Medellin, is I want to talk about how to use some fills. So what you can do with this one, the scale we're using is the D blues scale. Well, let's take a look at the D minor pentatonic first. D minor pentatonic. Now we can make that the D blues scale by adding this note. Just that one little note right there, and it gives it a nice blues flavor. All right. That's the flat fifth. But we also have the Dorian, that note that we talked about earlier, on the 7th fret. So we can play the Dorian scale as well. A little mix of the Dorian and the blues. So what also is going to happen, if you want to create fills, you look for the spaces. So for example, we know our rhythm takes 2 bars. And then we know the first half is only 1 bar. I started to play the second half, whoops. But in that space that's the second half where this exists, I can use any one of those scales I want to play any notes I want to create a nice little hot little lick or fill. That'll look something like this. So in that case, I did it in reverse order, but you can see how I substituted this with just random notes from the scales we were looking at. Now, any of those notes are going to work, but you have to really know kind of how much time you're going to occupy. Are you going to occupy 1 beat, 2 beats, 1 measure, 2 measures? A full solo would be 12 bars. I would recommend something while you're learning these ideas to keep it right around a beat. Why don't I go ahead and play the 12-bar blues loop for you all the way through? But what I'm going to do this time is add some fills so you can see kind of how that works in context. All right, and that's how that's going to work. Now, I know that's not going to happen overnight, and this lesson wasn't really necessarily directed to show you how to create those fills, but exactly note for note verbatim, but more where to put them and how to use them. So that's the scale shapes you're using, and those are the spaces you're occupying. If you're finding it hard to mix the riff or the rhythm and the fills at the same time, maybe try a basic D strummer blues or something in a key that you're more familiar with. All right, everybody, so there it was. Tasty T-Bone Walker rhythm, some tasty T-Bone style fills, and how to put it all together to make an epic blues in the key of D. Thank you so much for watching. Tenthumbs! Wow, that sure was a lot of fun to teach you. Thank you so much for learning with us and watching with us. Tenthumbspro.com. Thank you so much. Again, think about becoming a Patreon. It will accelerate your learning and will help yours truly, your teacher. Skype lessons one-on-one, all those t-shirts, all those goodies. And until next time, keep on rocking and rolling. Keep on loving life. Yeah! And have a lovely day. Take care of yourself.